Morning, everyone. This is Erica with Aurora Heart Healing. Today, I am going to be giving an intuitive reading for the collective that is meant to hear this today. And I started to scribe for some of the information that everyone needs to hear. So I am going to start off with the initial message, and then there's going to be some emotions that we need to look at to help us through that information that I'm going to be giving to you in just a moment. So without further ado, the first thing, the inner book, the inner work, and I will put all of this information, of course, as always, in the description so that you can reflect, look back at, and see what it is that resonates with you for yourself. The first thing in the inner book is avoiding discovery through blame. That was the first thing that I scribed to. To avoid being discovered for what it is, the ego mind projects our problems as coming from outside of us in order to keep us distracted from the real root of our suffering, the ego's attachment to a wounded theme of consciousness. This is how it hides in plain sight. Sounds like self-sabotage to me. Okay. Is there more that we need to know? Okay, I'm going to read this whole thing. Okay. The greatest enemy will always hide in the last place you would ever look. Julius Caesar. By keeping us focused on the external issues of our life and blaming something outside of ourselves, we never think that something within us could be the possible source of all of our problems. By believing that our anger, guilt, or sadness is created by other people or external situations, we help to strengthen that particular ego attachment and feed the neurochemical addiction. The mind is always thinking something or someone else is at fault, thus protecting itself from ever being discovered. However, the downside of this displacement is that in the process of defending itself, the mind accidentally makes us a victim by giving our power away to the external person, place, or circumstance it is blaming. Through committing to your inner work, you are peeling back the veil and seeing the human plight clearly. Okay, and I'm going to bring up some emotions that will help us understand that message a little bit more. One of some of the ego reasons why we would want to blame instead of discover parts of ourselves. Okay, anxiety is the first emotion. Anxiety. Okay, is there a specific part that we need to know? Its source is unclear and often below the level of consciousness. Therapy should help the individual identify the original source of his repressed fear that is causing anxiety. So this is a fear. Anxiety is a lot of times coming from a fear, repression. So for the last few months, I've thought about things that I want, and then I think about the reasons why I can't have that. And what I'm really getting from this portion is, as a collective, impeding ourselves from what we want for fear of the reasons why we can't have it. And that can be put on to someone else as I'm going to blame them for what I don't have because wonderful. Is there more emotions? Here, here, here. Depression, discontent, discouragement. Well, discouragement will definitely make you want to avoid discovering about yourself by blaming anybody else. So we're going to do feeling deprived of courage, hope, or confidence, disheartened, dispirited, being advised against, deterred, losing the desire to try or attempt something. Avoiding through blame. If we lead with feeling discouraged about ourselves or a situation, then the likelihood that it's not going to work out is drastically heightened. I was just reading a article about how if you surround yourself with people that are significantly higher, maybe they're higher pay, you're 30% more likely to succeed in whatever it is that you're doing. If you surround yourself with people that have a lack mindset, that don't believe that they can succeed, you're actually more likely, 40% more likely to not succeed yourself. So it absolutely makes sense that if you feel discouraged going into something, then the outcome is more than likely going to be a discouraging outcome. And with that, how can we ourselves stop blaming the external for what is happening to us and take responsibility? So, what would the wounded theme of consciousness be here? Having anxiety, possibly about the future or maybe a past, and feeling discouraged about the future or a situation or the past. Focusing on other things outside of ourselves makes our dreams wither, truly. Because when I say that person did this person did that, and you just keep blaming them for the circumstances that are happening in your life, then you are giving over your ability to choose. You are giving over your ability to make things not just right within yourselves, but maybe with other people as well, because you're attaching yourself to something. Maybe you're discouraged. Something that comes to mind is I had a really hard time knowing that there was a certain particular person in my life that I couldn't make anything up to because they're no longer in my life. Well, that person was placed back into my life. And instead of feeling discouraged about how I was before, I stood and said, you get to meet the new me, and I'm going to move forward with you, and I'm going to do my best to make up for anything that I did in my past that was not aligned with who I want to be to you now. So I took all of my power back. I didn't blame them or blame myself for my behavior. I knew that that was coming from a wounded place. So by taking away the blame, like, oh, you just didn't know me when I was, I said, no, I know me when I was. And today I get to choose different. I get to be different. I'm not going to be discouraged by the past. I'm not going to be anxious if this person didn't receive me, then they didn't receive me. But holding myself back from that anxiety, I can either hold myself back from anxiety and discouragement, or I can see the possibilities and say, this is a possibility. It doesn't mean it has to work out. It doesn't mean that it's going to, but it just means that there's more possibility out there. Okay. Is there emotions that the collective needs to know? Is there another message that the collective needs to know? Is it in the inner work? Have I passed it? Is it in this section of the book? 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 This, this, here. Is this the one? Do I read this whole thing? Is it here? Okay, interesting. This is on page 199, and I will read it and put it in the description as well. Accountability will think things like, my word is bond. Integrity is everything. I fulfill my duty. I face my fears. I live a life of honor. I can, I will, I must. Valor is respectable. Answer the call. Rise to the occasion. Discipline is key. Fight for what you believe in. Defend your family. Defend your values. Take accountability. People need to be protected. Do what's right. I am capable of handling my responsibilities. I slay my demons. I defend virtue. I stand up for goodness. I protect and serve. Evil needs to be stopped. Evil is the enemy. Everyone will be held accountable. Which is so interesting how avoiding discovery through blame led us into triggers that keep us stuck here. Taking accountability, that radical accountability of, I need to do what's within integrity for me. I want to be the best version of myself, no matter where I am in life, no matter how low or no matter how high. I'm wanting to line up with my integrity. I want to stand up for goodness. And if I allow myself to feel discouraged every time that I stand up for goodness, and it might feel like it fell short, then I am telling myself, it's their fault. I can't do this because of. And who wants to live a life like that? I know for a lot of us, we want to live our fullest life. So, how is avoiding and blaming holding us back from that? Okay. Is there any other messages from the book? Is there any other emotions that we need to know with that second? Yes. Okay. Is it in the definitions? Have I passed it? Here, here, here. Fluster, foggy thinking, forlorn, fret, frustration. Okay. Frustration. Here, here. Do I need to read this whole? The barriers to achieving our goals may originate outside in our environment or within us as a result of our personal characteristics, physical problems, lack of special talents, and inadequate competencies, real or imagined. It may be helpful to explore further the causes of frustration, which could help the individual deal with it better. And with that being said, if we're constantly frustrated and we just say, well, this is too hard, I don't want to do it because it's too hard, then we are actually keeping ourselves stuck and we are avoiding accountability, which here, accountability really means keeping within integrity of ourselves. So if someone says, I don't mind missing work all the time, and they do, then that is their integrity. If they say, I don't like being fired from so many jobs, and then they say, I don't know why I'm getting fired for so many jobs, and they constantly miss work, and someone says, well, you miss work a lot, and they avoid by, oh no, it's just not fair, I don't want to go to work every day. Well, there's a certain level of accountability. You have to show up. And when you show up, that's already half the battle. If you expect to sit back and just let everything come to you all the time, it's not realistic. Yes, there is an effortless flow to life. This morning, I went and I sat down and had a cup of coffee. And as I'm sitting there, different individuals came into my life. One was an opportunity for a job in the springtime. Well, then that came effortlessly. That flowed to me because I put myself out there in a specific situation, in a specific place, which was okay, I'm going to go and drink a cup of coffee. And just, I was supposed to be reading a book, but I ended up just talking to this individual for 45 minutes. And with that, that came easily. It came with ease. But if we're expecting people to just show up because we expect them to, then we will get a rude awakening. And then if we try to hold that person at blame, well, you didn't show up when I needed you. Where's the accountability? Because I understand that it can be frustrating. Whatever the case may be, there's a sense of frustration of why we're not achieving what we want. But we have to put ourselves out there to achieve what we want. Okay. Is there any other emotions that we need to look at? And if we passed them, is it here? Is it here? Here, here, humiliation, hurt, ignored. I smile because it's just a really interesting reading today. Avoiding discovery through blame. We can also ignore a situation. Person feels unnoticed or unrecognized, feels disregarded, rejected without sufficient reason, a feeling no one is aware of him or her, feeling overlooked. A lot of the times we can convince ourselves that we are being just ignored, that the people that are around us that we might want attention from or need validation from, or whatever the case may be, we feel that we have been ignored. And with that, if we do not open our mouths and say something, then we will continue to be ignored. And I'm a big component of voicing what I feel. And I've met a lot of people in my life that shut down what I feel very often. But there was a study that I read just recently that said, I believe it was from John Gottman, and they were talking about how when a woman, this is specific to women, but it said that a woman that is in an unhappy relationship and does not express her feelings generally tend to live shorter lives than someone that is in an unhappy marriage but expresses the way that they feel. So the way that we feel actually can elongate our lives. We can live longer, fuller lives when we express what we feel. When we stuff it down, internalize it, and do not allow anyone to know, ignore ourselves, but also let ourselves be ignored, then we're actually withering away slowly within ourselves. And we're not remaining in integrity to ourselves. We're not allowing ourselves to think of possibilities. Mainly, we're thinking of what is, sorry, definitely throat stuff here. A lot of vocalization, a lot of verbalizing communication. If we feel discouraged, sometimes we can let those frustrations and feeling ignored take over and say, I'm not going to say anything at all. Is there any other emotions that we need to know? Is there anything else? Okay, is it in the inner book? Hey, this is the book that I was going to be reading today. I have not finished reading this book, so we'll see what message comes through here. Have I read it yet? No. Okay. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it on this page? This page, this page, this page, this page, this page, this page. Here, 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 here. Is it on this page? No. Yes. Here, here. One, finding your confidence. Is it the whole chapter? Is there anything else after that? Okay. I'm going to write this down. All right. Find your confidence. This is going to be super cool to hear what Spirit has to say about this. As you think about stepping forward into the world and sharing your gifts, you may feel uncomfortable, ignored, frustrated, discouraged, lame, anxiety. Anyway, this is normal. Stepping forward and out of your familiar routine can bring discomfort. And this is typically an unconscious reaction to an experience in your past. As we begin this chapter, take a moment to step back in time. Can you recall something that happened in your early life where you didn't get the approval that you deserved? Maybe it was trying out for the baseball team and you didn't get picked to play. Maybe your art teacher nodded her disapproval and suggested you focus your creativity elsewhere. When I was in high school, I auditioned for every school musical and never got a part, not one solo line. The theater director explained it this way: you might be able to sing, but you can't dance, and you need to be good at both to make the musicals. Ouch. Is there anything else? Okay. With that, this woman was discouraged. This woman, right now I'm thinking of me too, but this woman was discouraged all the time about being in a musical because she couldn't dance. She could sing, but she needed to do both. And that was painful. I would relate to being frustrated in that situation. I would relate to being discouraged by someone else. But if we consider what everyone else thinks of who we are and who they think we should be, will we ever really be able to grow? Will we ever be able to learn? Will we let ourselves be stuck in discouragement, avoiding and blaming others for the reason why we didn't make our dreams come true? No one's stopping me from making these videos. The only person that was stopping me for so long was me, because I said, I don't know if people want to hear what I have to say. And every time that I would sit at this computer or other spaces and be determined to make a video, and I didn't, I was discouraging myself. What if they don't want to hear what I have to say? What if, what if, what if? What if these videos fall on deaf ears? That's okay, because I did this for me. I did this to be able to get my messages out of myself, my body, my mind, my voice. It matters to me. You should matter to you every day, every time. As you find your confidence, you'll stop avoiding and you won't be blaming others for what's happening. If you are in a situation and you don't want it or you feel a certain way about it, then change it. You have that power. If you were to say, this today, it ends here, and this is where my self-discovery begins, then you did it. You decided, you chose, you moved forward, you ignored the frustration, or at least acknowledged that it was there. And you said, okay, frustration, I'm going to be pushing through you because I know you're uncomfortable. It's not comfortable. When we grow, it's uncomfortable. I remember my daughter, when she was my youngest, um, she had these really beautiful clothes, shoes, all kinds of different things. And I remember her growing out of them. And she would try to keep wearing these things, these items, until I got rid of them, because then out of sight, out of mind. But through that whole time, it was so uncomfortable for her. She would just be so upset and say, well, I want to go back. I want this. Sometimes we can't. But sometimes if we look beyond, we think, wow, this has brought a lot of other beautiful things into my life. So just know that as you create confidence within yourself, when your no means no and your yes means yes, when you say, I'm doing this for me, and you don't go back on your word, then there's no one else to blame but you. And where did your power go? It went to you, all directed towards you, because you said, this is what I want. I see that mountain. I see the tip of that mountain, and I'm going to make it there. And you'll find that that discouragement gets quieter and quieter, that you might feel a little less anxious about situations that you feel anxious about. You might see that the frustration gets more and more alleviated because you're listening to who you are and what you want, who you want to be, the legacy that you want to leave in this world. And you might just find a sense of yourself that you never knew existed, a part of who you are that you are proud to be and excited to share with everyone else as well. So I hope that today you decide to stop avoiding. Stop avoiding those difficult conversations. Stop avoiding those beautiful dreams that you have that have been lingering within your soul for so many years or months or weeks or days, whatever it is. And say, I'm ready to take you on. I want this to work. I want this for my life. Give yourself the second opportunities that maybe the beginning of your life didn't offer, but you can offer it to yourself. You have a whole life to live. Live it with love, live it with light, and live it for you. Because when you do the best for yourself, it ripples out and it actually does the best for others as well. I hope all of these messages resonated with my collective. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you all have a beautiful, wonderful day filled with love and self-discovery and overall abundance. Thank you.